Greetings. I'm your host, Jason Miles, and usually this is where I introduce our very own sports show here on TIR, Beyond the Red Zone. But today we're doing something a little different. Uh, Mainly that's because I'm still without power. I think I have water. I'm not 100% sure. Um, Kind of afraid to find out. I went down to the power company to try to see if they could resolve this matter, and I should probably learn how to speak Spanish a lot better because either she told me someone will be here tomorrow, or to fuck right off. I don't know, but let's cross our fingers for column B and not so much column A. For our returning listeners, subscribers, and especially our patrons, thank you so much for joining in. You are the driving force behind the TIR machine. We couldn't do any of this without you. For those new to the channel, usually I have power. And I do this in a studio inside my home, not outside, because I don't have light. Someone says, you definitely said, fuck right off, Jason. I hope not. Someone says, donde está los Wi-Fi? Also, doing the show today from my phone. So, double cross up fingers. If you hear a loud motor, that is a generator that my neighbor let me use, as I'm one of the few people here without power. But if you do enjoy this program regardless, please hit like and subscribe. It is a passive gesture that goes a long way towards promoting the channel. For fans of the main show, I will be back tomorrow at our regularly scheduled time at 6 p.m. Pacific. I'll be hosting the Return of the Debt Collective to discuss how to build debtor power in the era of Trump. As I said, since I still don't have power at my house, we're moving the champagne room to Friday. Now, if you do appreciate all of the diverse programming we provide here on TIR and all of the polemical writings, and if you appreciate some of the more intriguing movie nights and raucous champagne rooms, then become a patron or a paid YouTube subscriber. When you become a patron or paid YouTube subscriber, you get access to champagne rooms and the movie nights, and your small donation goes a long way of making sure this show can stay on the air. Now, let's get to what you guys came here for. Revolutionary suicide, side of fries. Yesterday, I was hit with what I like to call a Mexico problem. Something you wouldn't have to deal with so much so in the States, but that is so common here. I'm talking about the randomness of power outages usually caused by shoddy infrastructure. It's the price you pay for an affordable life, but the lack of electricity and then later water forced me out of my comfortable apartment and into a place where I could find reliable Wi-Fi and power outlets. Forget about power outlets. Some of the better coffee shops in town close early on Mondays since the tourists are starting to head out. So there was one place I knew I could go, charge my laptop and phone, and write this introduction. That was McDonald's. I don't always frequent the Golden Arches since there are much better, higher quality options at reasonable prices, but I figured I'd get some work done as well. Besides, even MT, the vegetarian, does also enjoy McDonald's fries and the deep fried apple pie. So there's that. So enough with the free advertising for Mickey D's. But there is something nostalgically comforting about walking into McDonald's and seeing kids losing their minds in the new school play place. Sometimes a quick glance can conjure up memories of the hard times of the Hamburglar prison and savoring every bite of my McDonald Land chocolate chip cookies. Our guest today, Alex Park, uses fast food history and nostalgia to tell a heartfelt story about a city that means a lot to both of us, And that city is Oakland, California, where Alex visits the site of the first ever McDonald's in Oakland. He explains that it sits next to a cemetery and not just any financial or final resting place, but the final resting place of Huey Newton's ashes and almost about 400 of the victims of the Jonestown massacre. Sorry. I'm trying to read the script on the teleprompter that this thing provides, and it really sucks. So I'm not going to be able to finish it. But wherever you're watching or later listening to the show, there actually is a link in the description to Alex's article, which I think is a very important read, which we're going to get into today. So let me just bring in Mac and Alex. He is my co-host on these Wednesday Night Endeavors. Please welcome Mac.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it's so different without the sound.
Yeah,
so I apologize.
But I want everybody to take a look at the name I've provided for myself today. Better than the Browns QB room. It's a fact. It's a fact. Okay. You can say what you want about me, but I'm better than that quarterback room.
I did watch the. I can't think of his name right now. The quarterback they played all the money for.
Oh, that would be one Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. I watched the Deshaun Watson post-game press conference. Hilarious, by the way.
Oh, dude, his little hissy fit. And what kind of I think is hilarious about the whole thing, and he's like, this is the same field I was on when I blew out my Achilles and they cheered. It's like, bro, would you like to know why they cheered? Because you've played a grand total of 19 games.
That's it? In like 4 seasons?
Yes. Okay. He's the worst quarterback by QBR in the NFL for a quarterback that started at least 10 games. His longest pass from scrimmage is only like 15 yards.
Yikes.
Right? And before we get Alex out here, Tony Dungy did something spectacular and broke down. You want to know why Deshaun Watson sucks? Because that year he sat out, who kind of came into superstardom? A man by the name of Patrick Mahomes, and defenses had to learn how to play against him. And guess what? That defense was copied and spread across the league. Right? So you don't get just your down 4 and maybe a linebacker blitzing anymore. Blitzes are coming from everywhere. Defensive ends are dropping back in pass coverage. These aren't things that just maybe happen 2 or 3 times a game. They're pretty common now. And Deshaun Watson hasn't figured that out yet. And as well, he just forgot how to throw a fucking football. That man has thrown so many lawn darts just straight into the ground in the preseason. I have no idea what Todd Monken's thinking. I actually think he might be another like Rob Chudzinski who got 1 year and then the Haslams fire him. Why is
Shador getting 4th team? But look, I don't want to get into it too much because I do want to talk a little bit.
We have Alex. Alex has something important that he wrote. We want to talk about what he wrote. We're not going to get into the dumpster fire that is the Sutter Health Park of NFL quarterback rooms, and that is the Browns. So,
well, this man is not a Browns fan, but he is a friend of mine. Please welcome journalist and author Alex Park. Yeah.
Woo!
Thanks for having me, and thanks for reading it. I mean, I hesitate to say that it was an important story, as you put it, but hey, I mean,
I shared it. I read it again. I read it when you sent it to me. It took me a couple days, but I read it when you sent it to me. And maybe because I don't live in the Bay Area anymore, but there was something about reading that and understanding why you wrote it. Everybody loves where they're from, right?
Yeah.
And there's something about a good writer that can talk about, especially a city like Oakland, which is similar to Cleveland, where it's deindustrialized. And it has this moment in the 60s and 70s where Black capitalism is kind of working with maybe black nationalism,
Mhm.
or at least revolutionary spirit in a way, and it's the only way out. But before we even get into that, I also felt that your history that you were able to provide, because this isn't just a polemic on Oakland was so awesome and now it's so horrible because white people, right?
Right. Yeah.
It,
Got a
it,
lot
it
of
was
that.
much.
Yeah, I was gonna
That
say
seems
there is some truth to that, though.
Well, I mean, you can see
yeah. The white people give you mixed kids and vegan cupcake places. That's what it's all about. So it really
yeah.
was. But you you provide a history of not just the franchise, but how the franchise was integrated into urban areas, how the franchise used black uh, uh, entrepreneurs in areas where they couldn't get into with white people. They felt the
Mhm.
black people knew how to deal with the black problem better. But there were problems that these people faced as well. You also talk about this moment where the Panthers and Black Power kind of comes to a head with capital because the programs that um, they're able to lean on, these free programs that go beyond just a breakfast program, right? People forget the Great Society actually had a breakfast program before the Panthers did. Um, they're starting to go away, and Nixon knows that there's just no money to keep funding these things. Uh, so he leans in heavy on black capital. Nixon loved black capitalism, so he
Yeah.
actually loved black nationalism as well. So before we get into all that, what prompted you to go to this McDonald's, and did you know about the history of that McDonald's from your writing early on about the franchise?
Sure. So I had written a story before this for the Oakland Review Books about which is kind of like it's a new publication. If you haven't heard of it, don't be embarrassed. But we're doing it's pretty cool. I think what we're doing it's very it's certainly pretty lefty. It's also pretty Oakland oriented, but um, I think kind of in the way that I mean I guess I have this kind of working theory that like by looking at fast food you can kind of see like the whole of kind of the modern world in a way, and really kind of like in I have a sense of my own hometown that like if you look closely at Oakland you can kind of start to see kind of the entire world in a way. You can see kind of like the last and you can see kind of the history of the country and just kind of how it's been. Um, Oakland is a place where like it has made history, but also history has happened to it, and it's been kind of I won't say a victim, but it's definitely kind of been like trampled underfoot a few times, and you can kind of see all of that. And so anyway, I was researching this story about it was about an In-N-Out in Oakland, which was by the airport, and it closed, and it was like the first In-N-Out that ever closed, and it was this whole right wing talking point for like a week and a half. I mean, it was really stupid. But it was kind of it did a story about that, and that kind of led me to kind of the first McDonald's in Oakland. And I was kind of just as the guy who's like working on a book about this entire the history of fast food. I was a little bit embarrassed that I didn't even realize that like I didn't even know like where the first McDonald's in Oakland was. And so I kind of like looked it up, and then I saw there's some like Facebook groups that talk about Oakland history. There's a lot of some of them are kind of people are trading like historical photos, and sometimes there's people are just kind of trading stories and nostalgia and stuff. And so it came up, and a photo of this place came up in there, and someone said like, you're not from Oakland if you don't know what this place is. And a lot of people definitely agreed with that statement. It's kind of like, I mean, Oakland is interesting in that, like a lot of cities, there are kind of like different realities for different people, and they kind of overlap in some places, and sometimes they're just kind of like parallel universes. And so this was definitely something. This was something iconic out of that kind of like part of the city, this kind of other reality that I knew of, and I also didn't know at all. Um, and but anyway, I kind of filed that way in my memory, and then this Boots Riley movie came out, I Love Boosters, and and if you're familiar with that movie, I mean, if you're not, but like it's about kind of like a group of women who like shoplift from like big like clothing stores, and they have this hideout in an old chicken, like fried chicken place, not unlike kind of where you had your birthday, Jason, a few days ago. Happy birthday again. Um, but they kind of dubbed it Jackie's Chicken, and they have like a shot of this place for like 2 seconds on screen, and it was that McDonald's, and they kind of dressed it up, and which was kind of remarkable to me because, like, I mean, a good half of that movie was filmed in Atlanta because that's how movies get made now. They just kind of get filmed in Atlanta. Um, and and even in Oakland, Boots Riley is a pretty like loyal like Oakland guy, and I'm sure he wanted to film the whole thing in Oakland. But like even in Oakland, there are probably places, other abandoned fast food places that don't have like a fence around them and that kind of thing. But for whatever reason, he had to have that shot of that place, that particular McDonald's in East Oakland, the abandoned McDonald's in East Oakland. And that kind of really got me interested to see like, what there's some symbolism here. And so I read pretty much everything I could find on this place, which wasn't a whole lot. But it revealed, I mean, for me, a whole story about this real moment of transition in the late 60s, early 70s, when the Black Panthers came around, when People's Temple was starting to just kind of kick off. But then also kind of like in addition to all of that, kind of overlaid on top of all of that, when you could say that like Oakland was kind of was kind of getting into this transition that would later take on the whole rest of the country from an industrial economy to a service economy.
Well,
And
that's what's interesting
yeah,
about the piece when you talk about Eastmont Mall as well, which is
right.
a mall for those that don't know Oakland, California. It's a mall, and I don't know any other malls like this, and I've been to a ton touring, where there's like city facilities within the mall as well. It was going to be like a super mixed use mall.
Yeah.
And that's owned by a Black man as well. He's got a vision. Oakland is a pretty Black city, and it has a lot to do with the fact, you point this out, that there was a lot of factory work, but the big plant that later became the NUMMI plant, which made parts for cars, which I think is Tesla now.
Yeah, now it makes robots for Tesla. So.
Sorry, it makes robots now for Tesla.
Yeah, but it used to make Teslas, and yeah.
Redlining prevented Black people from moving. It was about 20 miles south to where that plant was or is, and so Cat stayed in Oakland. And McDonald's was like this new, and the mall. There's these two things that are coming to town that are not factories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like kind of the story of McDonald's coming to Oakland is really the story of this kind of like this transition happening. And you can see that there was real optimism at that time. I mean McDonald's franchised the majority of its stores like it does now, but it still owned it owned like some of its own stores, more than it does now, but still not a whole lot. But when it came to Oakland, it decided it was going to own that store. It's going to own that store in East Oakland because it wanted to kind of like keep all the profits of it for itself, which it only does when it only does that in any place anywhere when it feels pretty confident that they can really make some money off of it. And so that was in 1967, and just 3 years before, this Chevy plant closed, and the plant becomes the mall. So it's like you're literally, the powers that be have decided like we're going to trade the factory for the mall, and that is when McDonald's comes in. McDonald's sets up shop. So it's kind of like it is just so completely emblematic of everything that was going on. Right then, and like you say, like the factory, it moved to Fremont. It moved, so it's even in the same county. It didn't go to Mexico. It didn't go to China. but so it was easy, for people at the time to think like, oh, this is not so bad. This isn't the decline of civilization. This is just a factory changing towns. But to the deindustrialization thing, it maybe wasn't so obvious to like pundits in Washington and on newspaper pundits in New York or something like that. But in East Oakland, it was. I mean, this was the kind of canary in the coal mine, and this was the first wave of people who were really getting completely shafted by this thing. And what they got instead was, their consolation prize was a mall and McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing, Alex, is like deindustrialization, whether it was out west, the Rust Belt, the Northeast, whatever region of the United States that you're talking about, it almost came like from a playbook, right? You had the big bellwether factory, everybody worked it, right? Or you were related to somebody that worked it. This company, it could be they lost a contract or, consumer trends shifted, like we'll say with cars, right? Instead of throwing out big rolling iron, we get towards the, not even just because of the oil embargo, but later on in the 70s, you saw cars getting smaller. People's driving habits were changing, right? So they're like, okay, we're not making, El Caminos anymore. We're going to go with something smaller. So naturally, you downsize the plant or you close it down completely. You move to another spot in the county. Like in Cleveland, they were just like, fuck it, we'll move out of Cleveland, move out towards Akron, right?
Right.
And you had a smaller unionized workforce, right? So it's less fucking headaches you have to deal with. And then what comes in? Oh, here, American consumer, here's your McDonald's.
Here's your McDonald's, yeah.
Right? Here's your shopping mall. What is a shopping mall? It's all your needs under one roof.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I just want to like mention too that like kind of one thing that struck me was that like this moment that this all happens in. So 1967 is when 1966 is when the McDonald's opened. The year before is when McDonald's became a public company, started trading on the New York Stock Exchange, which was, I mean, it was basically the first like big like restaurant chain to do that. It wasn't the first. I mean, they'll tell you it is, but it wasn't. But it was it was more than a symbolic thing. I mean, this was the moment when like you start to see a service industry company start to kind of like take a role right alongside something like GM, the guys who own that factory, in people's like investment portfolios and their 401ks and all the rest. So it's like kind of the deindustrialization thing. It happens also kind of at the level of, people's retirement savings. So it's kind of, so like to have like the McDonald's right next to like the factory turned into the mall, it's symbolic of things, but they're things that are like, that touch the entire country, that were just kind of the foundation from then on about kind of like on that the country was kind of built on. And so in like you're saying, like with kind of malls replacing factories, I mean, it's one thing that strikes me about deindustrialization and about factories closing is like you're going from a model where it's like capital is coming in, we're turning like rubber and steel and glass into something high value like a car, and then that kind of goes out into the world, and then like kind of it makes money and more money comes in. You can kind of start to see how like this works as like a generator of wealth in a community. And with the mall, I mean, you have a situation where it's like basically now all the money is supposed to come from, I mean, there's maybe some upstart capital, but then like to kind of get it going, and the government had a real role in that. But then like the money is supposed to come from basically the community. It's
a poor community, right? A poor community
that's the thing. Yeah. And so a distinction of Eastmont Mall was that it was the only enclosed mall in a majority Black neighborhood anywhere in America. And so like, the proprietors behind it were like, if we can make this work, that would be so huge. And they weren't wrong. It would have been so huge. And guess what? It didn't work.
It didn't work. It didn't work because they built more malls, right? The truth is, like like with America, more malls got built in the hinterlands where people that actually were working at the factories that could afford to shop at these department stores could go. Oakland ended up losing. I think they had a J.C. Penney's. I think you said that opened up this store,
yeah.
which was a much larger chain than now. It's somewhere you would tease your kid's going to get teased if they bought their school clothes at J.C. Penney's in 2026.
Yeah.
But another thing I found fascinating about that history is, the history of redlining, which is really important. And when McDonald's sells that franchise,
right,
they sell the franchise to a cop,
a
black cop from San Francisco, actually.
That's a cop,
And another thing that you brought up about McDonald's that I think is kind of important is that it was a high-tech company at the time. Because McDonald's had figured out a way to perfectly make burgers and fries and give it to you efficiently and have it taste the same every time.
Yeah.
So, and they had actually built equipment for efficiency. So buying a McDonald's franchise, what would you compare it to today? I can't even.
That's a good question. I mean, truthfully, like fast food is still a high tech enterprise. I mean, they're still filing patents like constantly. Kind of, they're looking for like. I mean, I wrote a story recently about like AI at Burger King, and it's kind of like it sounds silly, and yet it does kind of like. I mean, it makes.
Dude, Alex, I'm not even kidding you. Right next door to where I work, Bojangles dead ass only employs cooks. That's it. No, there's no behind the desk people. No, everything is done through AI and touchscreen.
That's crazy. Wow. I mean, Bojangles, I didn't think was like on the cutting edge. I used to live in Asheville for a little bit, and I lived right down the street from Bojangles, and they were kind of like not like the premier fast food place even in like North Carolina, but
I know, but they've gotten a bunch of private equity investment.
Of course they did.
To help build stores. But how do we keep costs low, guys? We don't hire anybody.
Yeah, right. I mean, see,
that's the thing, right? Trying to keep costs low and keep people in the door. But this isn't a thing for McDonald's at the time. Their costs were already pretty low. The problem that the gentleman was having literally ended up being people trying to rob him.
Yeah.
You tell that's kind of an important story.
It is an important, so I mean, he takes over, and then 9 days later, I mean, a couple kids break in. Well, they don't even break in; they just walk in while it's closing, and they they try to they tell the guys open the safe, and they end up shooting 2 people. They shot a security guard in the gut. 18 years old, and they just shot him. And someone behind the counter, couldn't open the safe, and they just shot him, and they ran off. But what was so wild about that was that because I wrote in there a couple, a few months after they opened, there was Oakland Tribune did a profile of this guy. James Jackson was his name. He kind of he was the franchisee.
That's a black cop ass name too.
Oh yeah,
that's a black cop ass name.
Yeah,
let's face it. If he's purchasing a McDonald's franchise, this is not a beat cop. He's now the angry, black cop behind the desk, doing intake, or just he's a training officer now, just disgruntled as fuck.
Yeah,
everybody's the N-word to that guy.
Yeah, he was 38 years old. I mean, what's kind of wild is that he owned a couple of retirement homes. I don't know where, in the Bay Area somewhere, but he owned a couple of them and he sold one, and that's how he got the franchise. I mean, that's where some of the money came from. So he has hands in a lot of shit. And then, but McDonald's you're going to do this full time, and so, which is how they are with everybody. But he became a franchisee. 9 days later, then there's this robbery, and 2 of his employees get shot. And then the Tribune writes this real kind of glowing profile about look at this fair this black cop who's working hard and living the American dream. And then, it's just a few months after that, they make no mention of the fact that there was this incredibly violent incident days into this guy taking over the place.
The playbook with McDonald's, for those that don't know, if someone gets shot at a restaurant, that restaurant's done, and they take off everything on the restaurant that you would think it was McDonald's. In 82 or 83, I can't remember, there was a mass shooting at the McDonald's in San Isidro, California, which borders here in Mexico. A man, I want to say he was from your neck of the woods, Mac, where you're from, and he had moved to California.
Shocker! A guy from Cleveland, one of the states that's always had some of the most lax gun laws. Is like, it's cold, I'm going to Cali, and he just brings his fucking hand bazooka with him. You know?
Sean Moon knows 84. If you're bored, actually, the news story on it from the local news in southern San Diego County, you could find it. So it's actually a relic from 1984. It's not some new thing someone's doing to true crime. But anyway, the guy couldn't find a job, and he felt that the people that were taking his jobs were the brown people in this border town. Mind you, Alex can tell you this. San Isidro is the first thing you see when you walk across the border. And there was a McDonald's like right there.
Yeah.
It's a park now. There is a McDonald's in San Isidro. That's where I pee. But
also right over the border. I mean, it's
right over the border. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he went in. He locked the doors, and he started shooting. And anyone the workers, a few of them were able to run out of the back door. He tried to barricade people in, and he killed quite a few people. And McDonald's, I think they built the park as a memorial, but they made sure that the building is gone.
Oh, dude, the McDonald's near, because, like I told you, Jason, we had the short season single A team, like 20 minutes from where I graduated high school for the Guardians, right? And it was in the mall parking lot. Like, the guy who owned the mall bought the team, built the stadium, and we're like, how does a guy who owns a mall buy a team and build a stadium? Fun fact, he was moving cocaine on the team bus while working for like Italian mobsters. So that's how he got the money to buy the team and build the stadium. But so there was a B-Dubs, and then I think it's 44 or Route 45. And just a little bit further down, there's a McDonald's. And there was a shooting like after the 4th game ever for the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. And that shit had the signage down, the doors locked. Yeah. Like, this place was like persona non grata. Like, there was the shooting.
There was a thing that happened at a McDonald's in downtown San Francisco, and I don't know if you hung out at McDonald's in downtown San Francisco, Alex. There was two.
A couple of them, but
there was two on Market Street.
Yeah.
There's one that's still close to Montgomery. That's where all the homeless guys hang out. But there was another one that actually had a bathroom you could use.
Yeah.
And something happened. Either someone got stabbed there or something. But I was walking up and down that street. I shit you not. I was walking up and down Market forever. And then that's when I found out about the whole, when something bad happens and they have to close one for any reason, you will never know. They make sure that they take everything away so you don't see the failure.
Right.
But another thing that you brought up in that, which I think is kind of important to talk about, that we don't talk about enough as leftists, because I think people forget this man actually was a leftist, is Jim Jones is popping up on the scene around the same time. And Jim Jones was in Northern California, and he came down, and he was actually had a pretty big black congregation, black and Asian, actually.
Yeah. He started in Indiana. Like, he was from there.
That's where I think he's from there.
He's from Indiana,
so he knew how to do that. Actually, Tucson and I were having a conversation because, AOC recently spoke at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and she did this thing that I find mildly condescending, where if you're speaking to black people, especially at a church, but black people in general, you have to talk in this type of way.
Yeah.
So Negroes know that you are serious. It comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And she did that thing. And Jim Jones, actually, because he was a pastor, he really dug it. I think there's a moment in Jim Jones's life where he really believes in the socialist cause, but he also, like a lot of people that get into anything, politics, this shit, he really was a bit of a star fucker. And he liked hanging around with important people and politicians and being heard and being able to have enough say-so to our politicians to see, like, look, I'm good for 1,000 votes or whatever. And you talk about the rise of Jim Jones kind of against this backdrop of deindustrialization, because as the Panthers are kind of going the way of the dodo between prison, drug addiction, infighting, again, no more.
Government suppression, infiltration.
Yeah. That was part of it. Yeah,
that's definitely part of it.
Yeah,
but Huey Newton, and you have some great Huey Newton quotes in there, is also leaning into this idea of black capitalism.
Yeah, and which was that was really interesting to me, because just how like that's another facet in this whole thing that's just kind of forgotten. That like, I mean, things were just so desperate. That like, yeah, I mean, Huey Newton was trying his best to be kind of practical, and just he was kind of ready to take help from basically wherever he could get it. And it's also something that he totally copped to. He said, like, we got our free breakfast program, we got our like dental clinic and all this stuff, and it makes it's really grabbing people's attention, and people are copying it all over the country, and that's great. Who do you think is paying for this shit? Because it's not black people, and this kind of happened, right? And the whole reason that this had happened, that they started these programs, was because the government had those programs before. Like you mentioned, like the Great Society had a free breakfast program, and then they got rid of that. That just went away. And so like the Panthers step in, and yeah, they got their berets and their leather jackets and their guns, but they're also like, they're out there kind of like just handing breakfast out to people, because people just need to fucking eat. But where was the money that was supporting that? I mean, that was coming from the hills. That was coming from
it was Hollywood philanthropists. But what do you have to do? And this is what's interesting for Huey to say that. Because what do you have to do to get that money, right? And to some degree, you have to do something performative to get that money.
Yeah.
And so they would have to do the revolutionary tap dance to make people believe that they were really about this change, when in reality, it's like, we're just trying to triage a community that's broken.
Yeah, it really is like that. It really is. I mean, there was, Huey Newton had like a real sense of showmanship, and he was totally, he was really full of himself, and he had a kind of like, he had like a megalomaniac whole streak to him, and all that, but also like the showmanship wasn't purely in furtherance of his own ego. I mean, he got that, like, part of the deal here is to be seen. To be seen, I mean, not just in a big way, but just to be seen, like, at all. I mean, to your point about, like, kind of like McDonald's, like, closing places, like closing the San Citro place, and like McDonald's that got, like, where this, like, violent incidents happen. So they didn't close the McDonald's in East Oakland, and I think that says something less about kind of McDonald's and their policies, their internal policies, than it does about East Oakland. It's not that, like, kind of they maybe changed the rules, or they didn't hear about this thing happening at one of their restaurants. It's that they just didn't care, because McDonald's, because nobody cared about East Oakland. Something apeshit and terrible goes down, like off a foothill on 68th Ave. I mean, and a couple of black people get shot by a couple of other black people. I mean, that's just like, that's not even news. I mean, this was a Tribune story that was 2 or 3 paragraphs long, and I'm probably the first person to have looked at it in 30 years.
Well, people forget Rodney King was in the back page of the LA Times the day after he got his ass.
Yeah,
it wasn't a front page story.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'll just say too that this stuff kind of like, I mean, this is still the case, this is still how it is. I mean, I remember, like, I worked for a time for a publication that was very, very much interested, and it was kind of thought of itself as being ahead of the curve on kind of like mass shootings and gun violence. And then kind of like our new social media person, there was a memo went around, so to speak, that like, when these things happen, we're going to like really blow it up, and we're going to, we're going to do a story on it and we're going to cover that shit before anyone else does. I remember there was one time when like we had our new social media guy kind of like tweeted out like breaking, 4 people shot in East Oakland. And it was just like, I don't know that this actually, I mean, you could just detect like some editor above our pay grades kind of like walking up to his cubicle and like, that's not the kind of mass shootings we're really interested in.
We need to have is it at a school? Is it at a school? It's not at a school?
Right, yeah. It's just kind of, it's still like, I mean, like mass shootings become news basically when it's white people, when it's schools, when it's people who aren't supposed to getting shot.
Yeah.
And then like, in this time, this, just to go back to the shooting at this McDonald's in East Oakland, I mean, that was people who are supposed to getting shot. And it was just kind of like, and the wheel turns and McDonald's Corp is like, well, just send us your check for that 15% like franchise fee, and we'll just kind of, let us know when you need more napkins. We'll hook you up.
People love eating hamburgers, and so we're going to keep our store here
out of the goodness of our hearts. I mean, so I mean, there is a kind of like, it's interesting to kind of see all of that happening, and then like the Jim Jones thing and the Panthers thing, just kind of have how all of that, like underneath all of that, what all of this shit just has in common is basically, in a sense, the factory closing. I mean, Jim Jones is happening in San Francisco and all that, but it's like a lot of his congregants came from East Oakland.
Let's not forget, there's one thing. San Francisco had tons of clothing manufacturing as well that goes away in the 70s as the city wants to get financialized and be New York of the West. So I think deindustrialization of the entire area is really important because in the opening, this is the story of where Mac is from in Cleveland. It's a little different. The street names are different.
Yeah, it's like that's about the only thing that's different about it, Jason. It's just the street names and how the city's laid out, right?
Yeah.
Because we like to use the term playbook a lot, but this was the deindustrialization playbook. We close the factories, which destabilizes the cities they're in, right? Well, how do we fill that gap? We provide service industry jobs. Right. Hey, look, we just built a mall for you to burn all your money at. Guess what? You can work there.
Right. Right. Which was,
and even getting back to like kind of the crux, like the kickoff of your story, Alex, you know what? Not just the mall guys, but guess what? Burger King and Mickey D's, bitch.
And
what?
Yeah.
Right?
Choices.
So,
that's capitalism.
We understand it's not a good paying union jobs, and, things might get a little more expensive for you, but it's work.
Right.
And guess what? If you work hard enough, you might help run one of these one day.
Yeah.
Right? It's that hook, that carrot that they just dangle out in front of you, trying to say, look, so General Motors pulled out of Cleveland. Ugh. US Steel shut down a plant. Ugh. But look what we did. We brought a mall with a JCPenney's.
Right.
Like
and it's like, and that's not hyperbole either, because this was like a lot of this happened through government financing. I mean, that particular McDonald's was not actually financed with government loans, although plenty of other ones were. There's actually this is a book I can recommend. I'm on mirror mode, but it's Supersizing Urban America by Chin Zhou. It's pretty thin. It's somewhat academic, but it's a history of how, like, after the Great Society, the federal government comes in and says, like, okay, we're going to help out. We know what you need. You need small businesses, but small businesses that are kind of like connected to larger corporations. And so that leads them very naturally to franchises, specifically fast food franchises. And now, we've got there's something like 5 or 6 McDonald's in East Oakland. There's one grocery store. A couple of grocery stores, but there's just like, there aren't that there are not nearly so many. I mean, there is no other like national corporation of any kind that has that kind of like brand presence in East Oakland, other than fast food. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing comes close.
I mean, that's the insane thing, Alex. I went to school in Pembroke. I went to UNC Pembroke. The only place you can buy groceries in the entire town is at Walmart. There are no
Right.
grocery stores,
Yeah.
right? Um, they this is, and what's down the road from Pembroke, and Pembroke had a couple of them, but it's in southeastern North Carolina, Robeson County. But if you get closer to Charlotte, that was one of the textile capitals of the fucking planet for 40 years.
Yeah.
Charlotte, Kannapolis, you look at Huntersville, all these, the towns around it. And what did they do with, oh, well, we're offshoring, we're moving, operations elsewhere. And it was literally like, hey, we got this prime real estate now. We'll
Right.
even pay to have all the machinery torn out that you can then keep and sell.
Right.
And you can just put a new business here, So like for
Right.
years in Kannapolis, you literally had multiple fast food places in one of the old textile factories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, it's remarkable that anyone ever thought this could work. I mean, and I mean, we can argue whether they were ever sincere about it, whether this was just a ploy all along. I mean, I think
it worked in the suburbs. It was never going to work in the urban core.
Yeah.
We're both of where we're from. You're from Oakland.
Right.
I'm from Richmond. Richmond tried to have a shopping center in its downtown, but the mall was built. How far is Hilltop from actually the city of Richmond? Like,
I mean, that's pretty far. Yeah,
it's just similar to not Southland, but Bayfair and Oakland, right?
Yeah, right. Bayfair, which is on transit. It's on BART.
It's on transit. Yeah.
But it's not like it's a world away, and it's like, yeah. I mean, no one is going to come from like East Oakland, like looking like they come from East Oakland and not get like followed by some fucking mall cop if they go to Bayfair. I mean, now Bayfair doesn't have any mall cops left. I mean, there's like two things.
Well, the mall is a relic of an era that it's no more, because when we talk about the mall, we did a whole show on the mall, actually. The Socialists had written this really interesting article back when a lot of us on this channel were writing for Assimilation, and kind of the socialist history of the build-outs of malls to be these third spaces that were also going to be like parks, stuff like that. Right. And even if you watch a show like Stranger Things, the season where they do the thing in the mall, if you remember, there are people protesting outside because they don't want the mall built. Because what was happening was, if you look at old malls, even before our time, they would take the businesses from downtown and they'd move them to the mall. So everything would be right there, better parking, a one-stop shop. And so people thought that was going to be the death of downtown if you didn't move into the mall, which there's some truth to that depending on where you lived. And, downtown Richmond, I haven't been there in a while, but it wasn't like it was really popping off the way it was when my dad was a kid in the 60s.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing about the crazy thing about malls now, though, they're just essentially tax havens because they sit on prime real estate, right? And they were, some of these developers, I know the developers that there was one major one. I don't know if they still own it, but like when I was a teenager and, living at the mall, like a hooligan, it was one developer that owned like probably 40 or 50 malls. And Jason, and even you, Alex, will recognize the name. The DeBartlows were the big investor in it.
Huge
right?
in the malls.
Yeah. Right. The
dad.
The York family still owns a ton of malls in Northeast Ohio, Northwest Pennsylvania, and the states essentially pay them to just have the land. So the state's not responsible for developing it, redeveloping it.
Yeah. I mean, the suburbs kind of exist to kind of, basically divide wealth, right, from the city, and to kind of separate it out and say, well, this is some of ours now, actually, and we're gonna kind of like the wealth that goes into houses, and then that kind of like that can remain separate from the city and the city's problems, and then that money can go to infrastructure that is particular, that is unique to the suburb, and then the mall goes there, and that kind of like it's the next evolution. It's kind of like siphoning now, kind of like the money that would circulate in the city through retail. It just kind of goes through there. And the thing is, right with the service economy now, you're kind of unless you're, I mean, there's kind of two levels of the service economy, right? There's kind of the upper level is, there's banks and there's consulting and there's kind of those kinds of services. But the bottom, it's retail, and that's all it is. And so, if you have the service economy that exists in a place like Oakland or a place like Cleveland, where there isn't a great deal of consulting and banking and private equity and all the other shit that we have now, the services are now the services for who is there and the money that they have.
Blood banks.
Right, yeah. I mean, for Hilltop, for Bayfair to a lesser extent, maybe, but like kind of these like suburban malls, their approach became like, well, we're going to be destination malls, and they could kind of bring in that retail money from like other towns, neighboring towns, but like Eastmont was never ever going to do that, and that's crazy. And yet that was this was the solution, though, right? So, I mean,
which is funny because when you go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, it's just this one little detail I want to kind of work in that, like in the like in the mid '70s or the '80s, I think it was, but no, it was the mid '70s. But like there was like Eastmont Mall, like you mentioned, they had all these government services. Like even now, there's like Social Security office, there's a library there. Back then, they had they also had like or like local assemblyman had like an office there, that kind of thing. But on top of that, the Oakland School District had like some kind of operation there, and they actually were teaching adult level classes in like kind of the finer points of retailing, and then they could like you could get a job.
Wait, so Oakland City Schools had a learning annex at the mall.
At the mall, at Eastmont Mall, and you're gonna and as I said in the story, it's kind of like people who were like in an earlier generation might have been kind of like laying a foundation for their careers in shop class. Were now kind of learning to basically help other people shop, right? I mean that was what was on offer. It's like, well, we don't have shop class anymore, and even if we did, what good would it do you? But we've got classes in like the finer points of retailing or whatever the hell they called it. So, yeah.
Even though construction is always important, but F it. But you kind of end the piece. That's why I call it, when I was writing the intros, I call it revolutionary suicide with a side of fries.
I thought that was great, by the way.
When you end the piece, which is kind of an important thing that people forget with Jim Jones, is that Jim Jones kind of consistently quotes Huey Newton.
Yeah.
And the Jonestown Massacre happens in like 79.
78.
Revolutionary suicide is it 78? Yeah. When the Jonestown Massacre happens, you can actually, look, if you don't want to do this, I get it. But he recorded everything.
Yeah.
So it's actually recorded. The reason I call it a massacre, not a mass suicide, is because I don't believe everybody killed themselves. I do believe that there were people that pointed guns to their children, drink it or else. I do believe there was a lot of forced drinking of the Kool-Aid. And Jim Jones is quoting Huey Newton. Yeah. Because he's like, this is our moment. Like, they're not going to stop the revolution, so we have to kill ourselves. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit what Huey Newton meant by revolutionary suicide?
Yeah, I mean, and I got the book right here. It's like, this is not the early edition, but no. Penguin publishers, the Penguin edition, revolutionary suicide. It's kind of
with a new foreword written by Robin D.G. Kelly.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, these days, Jason, it would be with a new foreword written by Byron. Byron
Allen.
Byron Dunn, Florida. Like
Oh man, Byron Donaldson. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's. Oh, I'm waiting for that. I can't wait. Um, no, I mean, I think like revolutionary suicide, like the concept was so Huey Newton wrote this book. He kind of dictated the book. I mean, kind of Malcolm X style. He had like a biographer, as a sociologist at UC Santa Cruz, came up to visit him in Vacaville. Um, Vacaville needs some Bay Area cred. This was a discussion that came up during.
We were in a discussion.
I think that Huey Newton did a lot of time there. I think is okay. That's a point in his favor, right? But so yeah, I mean, so Huey Newton was in prison for accused of murdering an OPD cop, and yeah, that's kind of where this concept came to him. So, but I just say that to say that he was in a real low point psychologically, and but the kind of the message that he wanted to get out at that like bottom place was that basically like we're all kind of like we all die, but like and like if you're living on the margins, if you're black, if you're growing up in East Oakland, and if your factory just closed, like the people in my community, like they're experiencing. I mean, you didn't say that, but that's it was implied, right? But if you're living on the margins anywhere, it's like the whole kind of machinery of capitalism and of the state is kind of ushering you along to your death just a little bit more with a little bit more haste. And so like you can either kind of like go along with it and just drink yourself into a puddle, or just or drugs, or kind of all this kind of like all the manifest health problems and addictions that that were rife within a place like East Oakland. He saw all of that as kind of a result of conditions that kind of came about through capitalism. And he said, like, you can either kind of let yourself go like that, and that would be that's just suicide. That's just and what he called reactionary suicide. But the other way is to recognize that you're going to die, recognize that the system is trying to kill you, and then to throw yourself onto the gears of it and try to do something to stop it, slow it down, and that would be revolutionary suicide. And so he kind of encouraged people to take the latter path. I think what we were talking about with like showmanship, I mean, I think it matters here, especially because I think this is, I mean, by his own definition, I think you could fairly say that Huey Newton succumbed to reactionary suicide.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you know anything about his biography, I mean, it didn't end all that well. He didn't martyr himself. He just kind of devolved into, drugs and addiction and kind of
drug dealers.
Yeah. I mean, he went from Black Panthers went into like infighting, into like a smaller pool of operatives and revolutionaries and true believers who were infighting, and then the infighting just kind of was happening inside Huey Newton's own skull, you could say. I mean, he just kind of went sort of mad. And I mean, I've heard people just talk about how you could find him around like bars downtown with like he had this like massive bodyguard who would just kind of follow him around and just kind of beat up guys on command. And you'd go into a bar and the whole bar would walk out. They were just afraid of him. He was like, there was nothing about kind of revolution or solidarity going on with him in his latter days. He was just a solitary figure. And then he died, and his body was cremated at Evergreen Cemetery right across from Eastmont Mall and the hill behind the McDonald's. And so, that is a significant juxtaposition, I think, to Jim Jones, because like, I mean, Jim Jones was a megalomaniac. He was crazy, and he was absolutely, you're right, a murderer, a mass murderer. He was also, I mean, he did a lot of really bad things to his congregants before he killed them all off or encouraged them to kill themselves off. And yet, like you say, I mean, when this last act of this mass murder, he did call it revolutionary suicide. He said, we are, people are going to kind of see what we did. This is why he recorded it, right? You're going to see it as an act of revolutionary suicide. And I think you could say it was that. I mean, I think you could say that Jim Jones was taking the easy way, the easy way out. I mean, he was kind of suicidal, and he was really in a deep dark
Shooting
hole.
speed never has helped anyone make good decisions.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, no, he was in all of that, and in the jungle in Guyana, just kind of with like, yeah, well, all these people are working all around him, and he was just kind of bored on his fat ass, just shooting speed and just doing all kinds of
I
nasty,
mean, I
kind of
believe he had
depraved
ordered
things to his targets.
he had
Um,
ordered his wife to kill the little kids as
yeah,
well. I think the
yeah.
only
Yeah.
ones that survived his
I
actual
mean,
birth child, the black junior.
yeah, right. I mean, and I think but like, regardless even of what he did or his motivations, I think you can say, like, truly that many of the people who followed him and did, because a lot of people were forced, and some people actually did just volunteer, and they did drink the Kool-Aid knowing what was in it, and they really did believe that they were committing an act of revolutionary suicide. I mean, because like the idea that they would move down to Guyana into a cleared out patch of jungle and grow their own food. Um, I mean, that alone just shows how kind of, I would say, kind of how that was a radical movement in itself, and yet also the fact that, and it is really a fact that so many people, 1,000 people or so, well, I shouldn't say that, but hundreds of people, hundreds of adults, and their many children, consider that just a rational, sane thing to do.
But,
That just
let's
it
think about
goes
this
to
for a
show
second.
how bad things were here.
But let's think about this for a second. It's not like we're that far away from the hippie moment where people are going to, let's go to Marin County. Let's
Right,
go to
back
this
to the
place in
land.
Hawaii.
Yeah,
Let's go somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Let's live on the land. We're going to
yeah,
find
Humboldt,
Jesus.
and yeah,
And what makes me sad about the Jonestown thing, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Mac, is you have this guy, if you listen to what he said, he's all about socialism. He's all about this idea that we're going to live together in a classless society that
yeah,
won't have any racism. So you do have this beautiful racial mix of people that really do want to see a better world. They
yeah,
really, to your point, Alex, the states has given them nothing. If you were a believer in the Panthers or any sort of Black Power movement, you've seen all these people either get arrested, get infiltrated. What can you do when the white people aren't giving you any money anymore? You can rob a bank, you can kidnap an heiress.
yeah. Or you rob the
But if you
McDonald's, right? Or you work
you
at the
rob the
McDonald's.
McDonald's,
I mean,
you can
these are
sell
your
some dope
options.
spots, right? You know
Yeah,
how to maneuver in those. You probably can do it with efficiency,
yeah,
a la a movie like Dead Presidents, but with better execution. And
yeah,
and you think about like the hope that those people have, and then I kind of
yeah,
think about today where we are, where you have all these charlatans that are doing something quite similar, the Andrew Tates of the world, um, that are selling this dream where I'm going to save you from the hell that is capitalism. Andrew
right.
Tate's going to save you from neoliberal loneliness, just like Jim Jones is going to save you from, you know, capitalism strangling you.
Right. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Like that's the crazy part about all this. Like this is all stemming from one town, right? This is Oakland,
Yeah.
right? This we saw the birth of the Panthers. You know, Jim Jones, obviously. What else
It's
grew
San
up?
Francisco, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's this area that drives this, you know, this movement that catches fire very quickly,
Mhm.
right? And it spreads. Cleveland had a big chapter. Chicago, you know, we all know Chairman Hampton, right? Like chapters start popping up. Baltimore was another huge chapter, right?
Yeah.
And then we start seeing it get torn apart. You know, Huey's trying to, because I mean, let's face it, you know, Huey and Jones had a lot of similarities here, like
Yeah.
way too many for it to be comfortable, really.
Mhm.
Right? Huey liked being in front of a camera, right? I mean, look at his most famous picture, seated on a
Yeah.
wicker throne with
Yeah.
a spear in one hand and a shotgun in the other, right?
Yeah, he was a showman.
Yeah, he definitely was, right? Jim Jones was the same thing. How do you think you get a congregation as diverse as the one Jim Jones had,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and then you see not just the similarities in the people that are running or starting them, right? But what happens to as they start they're drinking their own Kool-Aid, they're smelling their own farts. I am the movement, right?
Right.
Um, and they both become heavily drug addicted. You brought it up, Alex. Like Huey knows I have to spout off with this socialism stuff.
Mm.
But you know what I really dig? I like having a bodyguard and I like having a nice car. And these programs we're doing, they're helping my community, but I'm also getting my cut of it as well. Right?
Yeah.
Jones has his own people, like it's just insane that this kind of springs up. These two very similar movements spring up and in the aftermath of all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it speaks to just how kind of like, I mean, I think generally just our understanding of history is too often colored by the personalities who stand out very prominently in it. And I think, yeah, Jim Jones and Huey Newton, like, they are worth, like, kind of like, yeah, they are worth our consideration. And yet, like, that they came up and they might have run into each other. I mean, and Jim Jones certainly, like, admired Huey Newton and read all the stuff and all that. So he was aware of him, certainly, and they were probably aware of each other. Um, but like that they kind of came up, more or less organically, and that they got such a huge following in so little time. I mean, it speaks to kind of like, and then how the Black Panthers, as you say, kind of like takes off like all over the country. I mean, it speaks to just kind of how much the message just resonated with so many people. Because like the conditions, I mean, you talk about playbook. I mean, the playbook, yeah, happening all the hell over in cities across America, and everyone when they're kind of like they hear, they read Huey Newton saying like, we're all gonna die, and there's basically two ways to die if you're black and on the edge, and they just stuck with people well the hell outside of Oakland, and that says something about just the state of the country then. It was, you talk about kind of like, I mean, it took off in the way that McDonald's took off. I mean, just kind of like filling a hole in all these different communities, towns across the country. It was perfectly fit for it.
Well,
I mean, it also goes back. Sorry about that, Jason. I was going to say it goes back like to like the material conditions of, this beginning of the deindustrialization process of this country, right? Like it was rife, like, and it's kind of crazy how quickly it took off, and then it's even crazier how quickly it burnt out.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and I think like and yeah, and along with Jim Jones and the Panthers, I mean, the whole black capitalism thing also just kind of burnt out. I think like, that there was just something, there was this presumption that it might become like self-sustaining, that like kind of, you kind of underwrite the McDonald's, you cut them some loans from the Small Business Administration for that, like, black franchisee, and, Southside Chicago or Baltimore or Anacostia or something. And then that will kind of lead to a grocery store, and that will kind of give way to something else, and eventually we'll get factories in this town again or something like that. And it just didn't really happen like that. I mean, there was like the money came in, the startup capital kind of came in to kind of like get the McDonald's, get the Eastmont Mall going, and it just never really got beyond that. And Eastmont Mall, certainly, I mean, still kind of like, I mean, I don't know that there's any other like malls, enclosed malls in majority black neighborhoods in America. Like I said, at the time, it was the only one. In the 70s, it was the only one. But even now, I mean, it's still there, and it still has a lot of its tenants, like Jason said, are, other government agencies. They're there kind of because they have to be, and the mall's happy to have them because no one else is going to come. So it is another subsidy in that way, by the government. It's keeping these things going that kind of like aren't really there. It's kind of keeping them going enough to kind of like keep a few people employed, and otherwise to kind of, in case of something like McDonald's, it's not maybe like bringing in a lot of wealth into the neighborhood. It's more taking wealth out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think there's also this change in how we want to talk about these places and the people, the proprietors that start them. Like Alex lives in Oakland. For the longest time, Oakland didn't have a grocery store. I think in East Oakland didn't have a grocery store. You had to go to San Leandro.
Certainly below Seminary. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're kind of commuting to go shop. I think College Avenue had a Safeway. That's in a whole different part of town. Parking is really hard. You're going to get harassed when you go in that part of town. But you think about the McDonald's story and the robbery, and the news doesn't really report it. But then you juxtapose that. Remember when they opened that grocery store, not in Eastmont, but across in that shopping center where the big blood bank thing is now? They'd opened a grocery store. I think it was a Palestinian family that started it.
Mm-hmm.
Or Egyptian family. I can't remember. I'm being racist with my Browns.
Shocker, Jason. Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. But I remember that
I'm a rummist, and Jason thinks all Arabs are the same.
They were brown, and they were living in the town. I remember that there was a lot of stories of these people fighting to stay open because people kept robbing the store.
Yeah,
if not, they're trying to rob the store. I mean, even if you don't rob it and you try to rob it, it wears on you after a while. It gets grating.
Yeah.
But when there isn't much around, illegal economies are going to flourish, because that's kind of what it is. All these movies, not all these, I shouldn't say all these movies. If you watch or read like Native Son, like that's the guy's whole thing. If I could rob this store, that's my life's goal.
Right.
And that isn't in a vacuum the only thing like that, right? Juice is kind of all about, if I could just rob this liquor store, we got a gun now, we can do it.
Right.
We'll have made it. This idea, right, that this is the Black American dream.
Yeah.
Is proliferated throughout the media for Black people, to the point that I think it really becomes baked into what some think the American dream is.
Yeah. Oh, dude, my American dream now is to do a bank robbery like in the movie Heat, but rather than fuck it all up, I get away. Okay, like that's my retirement plan.
Right.
Like there is nothing else.
That's and that becomes, though, joking aside, go read these stories or watch these movies if you think I'm lying. These classic movies, it's always, once we rob this store, then we will have made it. Yeah. And I recently watched Menace to Society. I wrote about it. I don't want to talk about it too much. That's how the movie starts. But it's a reactionary robbery. It's not an aspirational robbery, which is even more insane, right? Because you watch Menace, you're like, okay, find out later, two 17-year-olds just randomly buying 40s and no one's asking for ID. Okay. I'm not saying it's never happened, but all right. And then one of them gets mildly disrespected and murders two people.
Yeah.
And I'm told, like, this is every day in the hood. I'm like, this is pretty shocking. Like, it's very unnecessary. And he does it for like a couple of bucks.
Right. That's reactionary murder. What you need to do is revolutionary murder. That's
like revolutionary murder.
I mean,
but that's the thing. They don't kill cops, right?
Right.
See, I that's a good point, Jason. But like, people forget, right? And I'm gonna put my nerd hat on for a second. Like, the entire IRA going into the Easter Rising was funded by bank robberies. It was literally revolutionary robbery. Yeah. That's how they were able to procure arms. Like, how do you think they paid to have a German submarine try and smuggle in 10,000 rifles. That shit ain't cheap. You really think the Kaiser's Germany's going to do this shit for free? Oh, yes, they're at war with the British, but that motherfucker didn't do shit for free. He's like, bitch, give me my money. And the IRA was like, well, okay. I mean, granted, they got they got popped. They didn't get that shipment. But that's how they funded a lot of things. The IRA going into the troubles were robbing banks, and even worse when you get into the 60s and 70s, Jason, they were robbing drug dealers as an act of revolutionary violence because they're like, we're getting drugs off our streets, but it's also a very cash heavy business, which we can then use to fund
And
operations
they can't tell.
against the British. Yeah.
Right? Drug dealer can't tell. We're not supposed to tell. Drug dealer, officer, he pistol whipped me and stole all my pot.
He comes in with a big hole in his kneecap. Officer, this guy just robbed me. I literally watch you sell dope all day long. Like, it's still my fucking dope to sell,
What is?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, right, we can't forget, like, kind of what happened before, or what preceded all this, right? I mean, industry, like, had plenty of problems. Like, let's not, like, downplay that at all, either. We don't need to talk about it, but, like, right now, but still, it's like, just the example of East Oakland is just like, but you could say this about, like, any of these cities. Like, it's like the city as, like, some place where some, like, wealth generating actually happens, and then we just kind of swap that out, move that down to the suburbs, and we kind of replace it with something that really just isn't generating wealth. It's mostly just kind of like grifting. I mean, it's just kind of like taking whatever little money is left and just kind of taking it up. And I honestly, I don't kind of like think of like McDonald's in the story as like a villain exactly. It's just kind of, it's functioning kind of like it did, and plenty of people like it did just anywhere in most respects. And plenty of people in East Oakland were glad that it was there, and there's still a McDonald's in Eastmont Mall. That particular one that I was talking about, the first one, it closed, it's abandoned. Across the street, inside Eastmont Mall, there is the other McDonald's. There's the McDonald's that replaced it. And there's plenty of people who go there. It's open 24 hours, that one, which not many McDonald's in Oakland are. It's got plenty of patrons, it's
just DoorDash drivers at night. It's just DoorDash drivers.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I mean,
it's just DoorDash drivers at night.
It could be. But yeah, I mean, it's just that there is still kind of like whatever they're kind of baseline neutral, like just doing their jobs kind of way of doing things. It is not a kind of activity that is bringing wealth into the area. It just brings wealth into, it takes wealth out of a little bit of time from lots of people, and it delivers it into the hands of like this corporation and some suppliers, and then also like the guys who own this thing, and then with a little bit, in the form of a minimum wage, basically, to some assorted workers. But I mean, the minimum wage now is for fast food workers is $20 an hour in California, which is better than anywhere else in the country. And it is, I mean, my reading of that is that that is an attempt to kind of turn fast food into basically like an actual industry replacement. It's like, okay, the factories aren't going to come back. We're going to like actually, well, the jobs are here. We'll just kind of make them into better paying jobs. But it's like, I mean, you can't survive after that. I mean, you still can't.
What's $20 an hour in California, though?
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a bad wage. It's going to make people better off. But again, you're in a state with a very high cost of living.
Yeah.
So instead of living in like a fucking, Econo Lodge, you can get a shitty little flat, that's like 500 square feet with a roommate, and you guys just, share the bed whenever one's not at work, they're asleep, and then you switch off when they get there.
Right. I mean, and that's basically how that works. And kind of when you're not working, then maybe you drive for Uber. I mean, there's kind of, it is still not a way to kind of to square the circle and make this thing
But I
actually
mean,
work.
Alex, that's a great point, though. I think because we are seeing pushes to raise minimum wage for what they call low skilled labor, which I fucking detest the term.
Yeah,
It but they are using these service jobs to try and replace the industry that is not coming back. No
right.
matter what Trump says, the shit is not coming back here,
Yeah,
right? General Motors is not closing the plants, probably not too far from Jason, and relocating them back in fucking Auburn Hills, Michigan. They're just not going to do
yeah,
it, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's still, when you look at it, right? Like that we have the push for 15 here in North Carolina, right?
Mm.
That is still not going to make a dent,
Right.
into how much, rents have gone. Like before my second deployment in 2012, I was paying $560 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment.
Mm.
Now, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in the same town, $1,300. And Fayetteville's a shithole. Like this place sucks, you know?
That is, wow, that's crazy.
you know?
That's really great.
So
Yeah.
like I can only imagine like and it brings us back to this kind of moment where we have positioned our, we, the royal we, is, the United States government policy,
Mm.
economic policy, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, right? Are positioning these service jobs as replacements for good industrial, good paying industrialized positions. But that's low skill labor. They don't need to make any money. Well, then what the fuck are we supposed to do, man?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
really, it's this insane Ayn Randian thought that just permeates the United States that I just drives me up the fucking wall.
Right. Right. And so, I mean, and the kind of like ass backwards kind of talking point position as a solution is, it's so often, I mean, maybe less now, but it's kind of, it's education, right? It's like, well, you just kind of need to like kind of raise your skill level up and become more employable, and you go to college, and then you can kind of like, you get a degree after that, you kind of have some specialization, you become employable. And now we have like, more than half of like, US adults have, a college degree, and a lot of them, some of them have it from Harvard, and some of them have it from like ITT Tech, and kind of like, but like the people who kind of like get good jobs are, coming out of Harvard probably could have got a good job if they had just had a GED. And meanwhile, the people who went to ITT Tech are getting kind of like the same backwards jobs that they would have got kind of, I mean, almost no matter where they went. I mean, there's the kind of the conditions that precede them are kind of doing a lot more to shape their outcomes than kind of education ultimately does. It's just become another, I mean, it's become another grift, right? Because I mean, it's another way to kind of saddle people with debt, to kind of pull more wealth out of them, tax their future earnings and all the rest. And because it's based on this illusion, like, well, actually, there may not be a systemic way out of this problem, but there is a way out for you if you do this. Except that even if you do that, this is not a way out. Um, so, so the
Yeah, I
kind of,
mean it's
yeah,
it's really fun when you see, all right, guys, master's degree, 5 years experience, starting pay 50.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
but you better have that master's degree. I mean, and even if like, your master's degree, even if you were to get that job and from the first day through your first year on the job, you're like, wow, nothing I learned getting that degree is helping me in
Yeah.
this situation. But that won't change the fact that when like you quit in frustration and you go move to Bali or something like that, and they put out an ad to replace you, that they will ask that next person to, you better have that master's degree.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it kind of, I come back to like kind of in the stories, it's about like how yeah, the Oakland schools had like classes in retail. This was, it's just an early iteration of kind of what kind of the talking points dressed up as solutions that kind of got thrust upon us. And to think like kind of, if your options are like, you could do that, or you could just follow this crazy dude with the sunglasses who kind of says the right things and says like, we're gonna go like row around food in Guyana, guys. Like, I mean, honestly, like, I'm not sure what is the kind of. I'm not sure that like kind of like taking classes in how to sell clothes in a dying fucking mall is actually the better option of those two. This is assuming that
district manager breathe down your neck because you're not hitting quotas.
Yeah,
right. Like, yeah,
you got people. Right. Yeah, you got people that are like at the learning annex, like I really don't want to do this. Hey, do you know about that Jones guy? He's going to Guyana. Where the fuck's Guyana?
Right.
You know what?
Yeah, who cares, man?
I don't even care at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Is there hope there? I'll go there.
Yeah. And Jason too, on what you're saying, I mean, it's like, you say it as a bit of a joke, but it's also like that whole dilemma. I mean, that speaks to like a very real problem, right? Because it's like, yeah, the district manager is telling you you're not hitting your quota. Your district manager, whose district includes like fucking like, I don't know, like Alameda and like El Cerrito, a few other. It's just like, well, hey, that store in Walnut Creek, they've been kicking ass. Why can't you? It's like, because this is East Oakland, okay? But you can't explain that to a district manager. I mean, your district manager, just like your sales manager, kind of like managers at all kinds of levels of any kind of retail operation, they don't give a shit about systemic problems, and they have no concept of them. Yeah. When I think to actually rise to the level of district manager, you really have to block out any kind of like notion that the difference between like this place, this sales guy, this neighborhood, this this district and that one, this mall and that one, that you got to block out any sense that it comes down to anything other than like those guys like work harder and they smile more and they're just they take a little more pride in their job. That has to be the kind of the sole explanation. If you have like make any room for any other possibilities,
yes,
man, you're going back on the floor for that one.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the crazy thing is, Alex, I work at a Chevy dealership. Like, I manage the inventory, and the general sales manager completely refuses to recognize people do not have money to buy cars. Right.
And cars are more expensive. I mean, it's like less money and shit costs more. I mean, like,
right. So like today, like I've received like 80 new cars in the last 3 days. I have no place to put them. Like I'm like playing Jenga with like getting them on the lot and shit.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to have the 27s roll in. And every every model we have is going to be $2,000 more expensive. In 2026, for the 2026 model year, there were only 5 models of vehicle from any manufacturer that you can get for under $30,000. 5. For the 27 model year, that drops to 3. Right?
I mean, like, right? Like, and it's crazy, right? Because like a car is not a luxury good either. I mean, plenty of people who work at the McDonald's out in the suburbs. I mean, a lot of them. It's kind of amazing how many people who work at your local McDonald's like commuted like 30-40 minutes to get there, right? And when when that McDonald's is in the suburbs, it's like, yeah, they took a car and like they're like, man, the first few hours of their shift, it's going into like that next tank of gas so that they can get back to work like next week. I mean, it's like, so I mean, it's just, so yeah, it just becomes another layer of kind of like complication for people, and yet it's all kind of derivative of the same base problem, and yet like we're not allowed to see it that way. We're not allowed to kind of explain it that way. So
yeah, I mean, the insane thing is we live in this country that is not walkable.
Yeah,
public
Fayetteville, not an exception to that rule at all.
Well, Fayetteville by multiple metrics, by multiple studies, is the least walkable city in the United States.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we don't have wide access to public transit, and it kills me that even at the state level, how legislators refuse to see that investment in public transportation would make things so much easier on people.
Yeah.
You know, just being able, you get your monthly pass, you take your train to work and back, right? I don't have to worry about a car bill. I'm not paying insurance. I'm not, you know, dumping $30 a week into my gas tank,
Right.
you know, and then on top of that, the oil changes, all, you know, all the maintenance shit. Dude, that would free up so much money for people.
Yeah.
And you get state governments that are like, public transportation. Oh, hell no. You
No,
know,
that's socialism, and that. Yeah, I mean, and so like kind of from the industry side, I mean, they are actually seeing fewer people going in to work at their restaurants, and they're quitting, or you know, This is fast food we're talking about, right? And so this is where the solution comes back to AI, right? I mean, it's just about like let's just figure out a way that we need to like employ fewer people, and then we can also, this is the flip side of it, get the people who are there to work faster and work harder, you know, make them more efficient, right? And that's how that works. I mean, I did some. It's going to be in the book, but I wrote a thing about for Time about like welfare reform and fast food. So this is something that happened in 1997. So you know, 20 years after the whole Jonestown thing and all that. But it's like, you know, you're in a time of like high employment, the late 90s. And so like, but then like in the inner cities, there are these fast food places because like the government, you know, basically sponsored them and kind of, you know, they cut out a lot of low interest loans. They kind of allow all these fast food places to blossom all over the inner cities. And so like companies like Burger King were really having trouble finding workers for them. And so like, and then we get into this situation where we get welfare reform that says like, if you have welfare, you have to now get a job to keep your benefits. And so like people in inner cities now suddenly have to get a job. And the only place that they can get a job is their local, you know, Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's, KFC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because like, you know, because all the jobs were going out into the suburbs, all the job growth was happening in the suburbs, and most of them didn't have a car, and the public transit, you know, totally sucked. And so kind of you had to get a job in your own neighborhood, and that was the only thing that was hiring. That was the only place that was hiring. And then what's really crazy is that there was this kind of like private sector like consortium called the Welfare to Work Partnership. It was 5 companies, and one of them was Burger King.
Yeah.
Right. And so Burger King was kind of like, they co-wrote a lot of these kind of like policy recommendations to deliver to Bill Clinton, basically for him to kind of like, you know, talk up later. And he actually did in the State of the Union address in like 1998. But I mean, kind of one of the recommendations though, was that like, well, we need to, you know, here we are, we're the companies, we're the Fortune 500 companies, and we are the employers. We would love nothing more than to hire welfare recipients. But, you know, this is going to be a little bit tough for us because a lot of these people, like, they don't speak very good English. They don't know kind of basic life skills, like how to, like, get to work on time. This is actually stuff that they said. So it's like, you need to kind of give us a little bit of a leg up, you know, so call it like an incentive, right? And so if you were, as an employer, if you employed a welfare recipient, you could get tax breaks equivalent to, I mean, for the year, you could get a tax break that was equivalent to paying someone at the minimum wage for 40 hours a week for, you know, the entire year. So you could basically, you could literally hire someone. The way the minimum wage ended up going up, so it didn't quite equal out. But you could, as it was designed, as the policy was designed, you could employ someone at basically no cost if you hired a welfare recipient. And Burger King employed, I mean, I think the statistic was like at some point, like 13% of the employees at their company-owned stores, so not the franchisees, the stores they own themselves, were welfare recipients. So they were just like sucking down so much money, so many, like just gazillions of dollars in subsidies. And the money, meanwhile, this was, I mean, where that money came from, that's the money that used to be the benefits. the welfare benefits. We just took it from these guys and we gave it to these guys. And we made those guys go work for these guys so that they could get a little bit of what was left that, hadn't already been, delivered to Burger King in the form of an incentive. So that's, the history of fast food is paved in government assistance, government subsidies. And meanwhile, a lot of people who work at fast food still, like, they continue to rely on food stamps, on welfare, one form or another. Plenty of fast food places accept EBT also. And this is, food stamps. These are also subsidies. I mean, this is kind of also just like something that is making a situation that is unlivable and turning it into something that is just barely livable. The difference between completely unlivable and just barely livable, though, that is the federal government. That is federal assistance. Is kind of supporting this workforce, and in some cases supporting the customer base of these restaurants so that they can kind of they can keep going, and then they can just kind of exploit people to the hill. I mean, that's how the whole thing works.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah, I'm going to go throw myself in front of, one of two buses that run in Fayetteville tomorrow. Thanks, Alex.
If I had light at my house,
it'll be a while before it's but I mean,
it's a little. I was trying to finish the show before it went totally dark here, but
the funny thing now, Jason, is we can actually see you better. So, hey.
Yeah, but the sad part is, that's the sad part. Is that yep.
Hey, Jason, if it makes you feel any better, that was literally Afghanistan at 6 p.m. most days, right? You just walked around like this, hoping you didn't bump into anything. Just
I don't want to complain too much. I just my landlord gave me a extension cord from her house because she actually has power, but my door won't shut. So I've just been like, fuck it, no power, because I don't want any big bugs to crawl into my house.
Oh yeah, that's the last thing you need.
No.
We wouldn't see you for a week. You're just like all shows canceled.
Dude,
a giant cockroach rubbed up against my butt cheek.
Yeah, it's like it's super dark right now to get so all the bugs are like, oh, look at this great fuck. It's like a disco for them right now. Like, you see that new club opened up down the black guy's house? So yeah,
all the dogs are below your terrace with glow sticks, just like.
The dogs can just walk in now because the gate's open, so we can get in and out of the place.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's just once I end this show, I'm gonna grab a weapon and then start locking everything in like it's a zombie apocalypse. Wait for the sun. or a vampire movie, one or the other. Even the vampire's like, oh shit, that dude's got no light. No light. Oh shit. This asshole. But you can't see it, but the little bit of the moon is shimmying off the ocean right now. It's rather cool.
Okay, so that makes me jealous. Thanks, dude.
Yeah. No, it's awful pretty there.
Other than that, it sucks right now.
Yeah.
But there is places to go eat that are open all night, and that's always good.
That's good. Yeah.
So Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Sorry
that
it's the outdoor version.
Hey, it's all right, everybody. This should show you how dedicated our host with the most is. No power, running off a generator. His fucking landlady's throwing him drop cords to make sure that he can charge his phone. So if you're not pimping him out, pimping the Patreon, pimping fucking YouTube, you're wrong.
Share the show. I put dead in the title, and I didn't think anything of it because I hate this suppression of words that aren't violent in the context. And so I think YouTube is suppressing the show. So definitely share the show, guys, because it's going to be hard for the show to get views because dead.
I'm gonna say this right now as someone who is a AA historian and a somewhat published writer. I hate this shit. Right? Dead is part of the language. People end up that way, whether it's through natural causes or like those poor guys at the McDonald's in East Oakland, right? Like it happens to all of us. We return to the earth, right? Like in certain situations, like I guess, like unfortunately, I don't know if you guys saw, I'll make this quick, but there was a woman contractor who was working for the Navy who was raped on ship, and she was told in court by a judge, that is a duty of your work, file workman's comp claim. It's not a criminal claim.
Insane.
That is insane.
Absolutely insane.
Fucking insane.
Right? Rather than use rape, the author for the one article I read, used sexual assault, which if you're trying to get more people to read it and take the sting off it a bit, okay, sure, whatever. It still is the same thing, sexual assault and rape, right? But like dead. Like what are we gonna say? Right? Like
unalived.
No longer breathing at the McDonald's. That's just that's too, words are my ammo, people. Like I don't like having it limited. All right. That's just how I am. So
yeah. Well, that's why we gotta switch over to Rumble, I guess, right? That's kinda
crossing my fingers that switch doesn't have to happen.
God, yeah, did that? I don't know. Have you ever considered that? I mean, now. I mean, I was making a joke. Now I'm like wondering. It's like, is that? Actually...
Oh, I'll be real. I'll be totally honest before we go. There was a moment a few years ago where a lot of this stuff happens kind of randomly. Black creators, or I hate saying that, black shows in left spaces all got a strike for super random things. I had got a strike for a show. You guys know Abby Martin?
Yeah.
Mm.
Abby Martin, who's from the Bay. She's from Pleasanton. Her brother lives in Oakland. And her brother was the last person that was in studio when the show used to be an in-studio, non-live show. Robbie had came down. We had masks on. Like that's how long ago it was. And he was like in one side of the room and I was in the other. And he did a big thing on QAnon. That was really interesting. I don't remember us really cursing or saying anything bad. We had got a strike for that. But that strike, it came like 2 years after the show happened. And when you have a strike, when you have a strike, you can't upload anything. They don't take the channel down, but you're kind of just whatever you have for a week. So I was really scared. And I was thinking about going the Rumble route. There was another site that had some friends that were experimenting with that. They were like paying you in crypto or some other weird shit. I can't remember.
Yeah.
maybe that was Rumble. I can't remember.
That would have worked out well for you if you went to El Salvador, Jason.
I didn't go that far south, thank goodness. But there's moments where, because you can't really control or know what it's going to suppress.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to be proactive in that regard, we're defensive and try to great unalived essay PDF file. I think there's something childish about that and condescending, that we can't use language properly.
Yeah.
And words in the abstract can't hurt. So I'll take the loss. I'll have less followers. I won't have a certain amount of exposure. I won't get the ad deals. But at least we can keep some sort of journalistic or just integrity as human beings, that we're going to talk to the audience as adults and not like, silly little schoolgirls that can't say words.
All I'm saying is, just based on our normal Wednesday shows, we are got to be this close for having Blue Chew come on as a sponsor. Like we've got to be this close. They're on everything else. All right. I'm sure in a 90-minute show, Jason, you and I could at least get 4 ad drops in. Like I'm almost certain we could do it.
I am constantly shocked at who says, I watched your show, I really dug it. Next Tuesday, Elizabeth Pryor is coming on, who is a professor, but she's also the daughter of one Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
And recently wrote a book about the N-word and her kind of uncomfortable relationship with it. And I'm going to be reading that. But I had sent her an email. I didn't hear back from her. And then she goes, oh, I'd love to come on the show. So, you never know who's watching the show. I just always assume that everyone watching the show is a white man.
Yeah.
So whenever I see a non-white person, be like, oh, yeah, I know you. I'm like, oh, no way. High five. Someone says, is she funny? No. She's a historian.
Which means that she's fucking awesome. All right? Historians are awesome.
Exactly.
And my fingers are crossed that there won't be tons of, your dad questions in the chat, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you steel yourself and get ready for them because there's going to be somebody. But maybe I'm being a little bit hopeful. I'm having an Obama moment, so to speak. That our amazing audience that we have, right, kind of understand, with somebody that is a historian, that is a subject matter expert. Like we had a few shenanigans in chat tonight, but for the most part, everybody was fucking dialed in and acting accordingly, which we typically don't get on a Wednesday. Like Jason and I, Alex, we start the sports show and everybody's like, "Where's the dick and fart jokes?"
Yeah,
all right.
That's what we came for. This is the serious stuff. But we haven't had a red zone in like 3 weeks, and we had Bhaskar from Jacobin on the show recently.
Yeah,
we got Alex on the show. So Wednesdays, I can't remember if Besner's coming on in a couple of weeks. Another historian.
Well, we are going to have to fit at least one in because you know what this weekend is? Week 0 of the college football season, my friend. And it opens up with the most unwanted matchup of all time. Texas Christian University Horned Frogs against the University of North Carolina Tar Heels in Dublin.
Ireland?
Yes.
That is.
Oh.
The Irish people showed up for Notre Dame and Navy and fucking had a blast. When they see a poorly coached UNC team just get like bent over the couch and just, oh, you like it, just, that's what TCU is going to do to them. It's not even going to be pretty. I might make it to halftime. And I'll watch any football.
Here's my prediction. With games in other countries, never count out the underdog. Never count out the underdog.
Did you watch a UNC game last year? It's like Bill Belichick forgot how to coach.
It's not good. It's like he's got a high school team out there.
Oh God, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I'm going to a game this year. I'm going to UNC against Syracuse. So I'm going to be very let down. Okay, but at least I'll get some stadium food and some beer. So I'll take that shit.
Man.
Well, we will be back with the Red Zone. I'll be back. I should be back tomorrow. Cross your fingers that I'll be in the studio and not outside. As much as I like outside, I'd rather be in my studio because it means everything's working. Thank you guys for watching. Wherever you're watching or listening to the show later, there's a link in the description to Alex's article. I'm probably going to put my original intro as the TIR sound off for next week. There's a big block quote from Alex's piece. I think everybody should read it, so might as well give it as much love as possible. And Alex, you have anything to say in closing?
No, just glad to be here. I'm always like coming on TIR. Have me back. That's bring me back sometime.
I need to have you be the guest host so I can take days off.
I'm down for that. Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Everybody says that. Everybody says that until you give them the keys to the car.
Okay, first, all right. I think Alex would do a hell of a job, and I'm always here, bro. You've called me in out of the bullpen twice. That's it.
I always feel bad. I'm really bad about it. And Toussaint just said, Jay, you might have to take over on Saturday. I'm still not feeling all that well. I'm like, oh man, I was all excited because I got to write this funny story. Funny thing happened to me on the way to writing an article about Stephen A. Smith.
Which, Alex, I already told him he could finish it quickly and just say, this fucker sucks, and then that's the article.
That was how I wanted to approach it. Didn't think there was a lot of there. Finished it, turned it in 2-3 weeks ago. And then Stephen A. goes and does this whole shit where they call him like the National Black Journalists Association calls him like King Coon or some shit like that. And I'm like, oh, fuck, should I add this to the... should I like figure out how I can shoehorn this in?
Maybe that's something to talk to Dr. Pryor about. I mean, that's like... Yeah.
I mean, he's really bad. He's really bad. There's nothing good about Stephen A. Smith. But there's something to be said about these straight shooter news guys that actually have real journalist bona fides. And Stephen A. Smith is as good as he was many moons ago as being a beat guy in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
He is the hottest of garbage as a pundit, whatever the fuck he is, a media personality. Fucking can't stand that guy's media personality. He's really fucking offensive.
Yeah.
What ruined me forever is when they allowed him to do boxing play-by-play. And this man has never watched a boxing match, let alone called one. And it was atrocious. And this is in the death throes of like Friday night fights on ESPN. You know, they're getting ready to pull this off. And I just sat there like in my soul. Like I was on Wednesday night fights once upon a time. I was on this show. How dare you, Stephen A. Smith? You are a horrible person. You don't know the difference between a jab and a cross. You don't even know. Like, and the thing is, one of the fighters was Eastern European, Jason. You think you can't pronounce names? Holy fuck. He butchered this poor man's name the entire fight. It went all 9 rounds. He didn't say this man's name the same way more than once.
What's great? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, this guy, like, this is the guy who, like, farted in a sound approximating, like, I might run for president or something. And somehow I got, like, I mean, I saw, like, 5 stories about that day, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
What? I mean, it's just...
Why? Yeah, like, who's going to... The thing is, while I was waiting at the power company, there was one other American that walked in. And we were talking, and he was like, I can't die with Donald Trump as president. I don't want that to be my last thought. Donald Trump. He's kind of whining about Donald Trump. He's like, it's got to get better. I was like, well, there's some things that aren't going to get better. You think the next person that gets in office is going to hire back all those bureaucrats that got doged? Nope. You think USAID is coming back? Nope. No. And the guy his head just kind of dropped. And I say all that to say Stephen A. is kind of one of those things that it's not like when Trump goes away, media gets better. Like he's changed the game to the point where people were mad in the Biden administration. It's like, we don't have any personalities. Kamala Harris doesn't know how to be a real person, so she's this weird woman that laughs all the time. Joe Biden is literally Weekend at Bernie's. We need the guy that's going to stir shit up. What or who is going to stir shit up? And Stephen A. is one of those people. The media creates its own monsters. Like, it's really trying to create Hassan Piker as this weird Leninist, Huey Newton, Gore Vidal, Vidal Sassoon. Like, he's everybody rolled into one for these guys. Yeah. But it's all fake. And Stephen A. is good at riffing.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to. Can you riff crazy shit when the go lights are on?
Yeah. And you know what's going to be funny, Jason, is that poor man's going to be really disappointed when our next president is Pat McAfee.
Oh. I told him, he said he was 73 years old.
Dude,
and
just watch,
said,
Jason. Steve,
yeah.
it's going to be a crazy, like, primary thing. And we're just going to be, like, chilling out, and our phone's going to go off one day. I'll probably hear Alex, like, Ninja Star throw his phone through the wall when it comes out that Pat McAfee won the Republican nomination, and he's running against, like, Tim Robbins. You know, at this point, I have no hope for the Republican and Democratic Party. It's just, I think we're all tired of old men falling asleep at important international functions and shitting themselves while they're doing it. So they're like, you know what? Let's go. I mean, Robbins, a little bit younger, but still younger. And McAfee, he's a lot of fun, you know, and it's just going to be these two fucking idiots that end up with their finger hovering above the nuke button.
Yeah.
And McAfee's like, hey, man, look at me. I'm a fucking douchebag. I'm not going to wear a suit in the White House. I'm going to wear this giant belt buckle and some shit kickers because I'm one of you. No, you're not, bitch. You're one of the fucking, like, most compensated TV knuckleheads in the goddamn planet right now, right? It's just, I don't understand how we've literally made being a subject matter expert in something like such a crime now.
Yeah.
Oh, you know stuff about stuff? Pfft, elite. Bitch, I drive a Chevy Trax and get paid $18.50 an hour. I'm 44 and I live with one of my best friends. Like, I am not elite. I'm an elite shitbag, if anything. Right? Just because I got a degree in history, I'm somehow elite. Bro, suck my dick from the back, man. You know, like, I'm just
How's that for elite?
Yeah, you know, like, it's insane to me how, oh, you're a scientist. Yes, I'm actually a climate scientist. Elite.
Yeah.
Then
You
they
know,
yell
like-
out pussy. The pussy,
Yeah.
and they like, you know,
Fake
give 'em a wedgie.
news. You know?
Yeah, I just can't wait for like the kind of like MAGA, like, I don't know, maybe we'll have like MAGA History Channel or something. We'll do kind of like retrospective takes on like kind of MAGA through history and actually who was actually kind of the true predecessor to Trump, and be like, I don't know, like Reagan, you know, he sounded kind of dumb, but actually like he was actually out there kind of like reading intelligence reports and shit. He wasn't like truly one of us. He's not like, he wasn't kind of
Yeah.
like one of the real true predecessors to Trump. I mean, it's just kind of like retroactive, like looking through past generations to see like just going down the list of like, man, who actually read? You know, we need to kind of like disown those people as heroes now. Because
that's that kind of idiocracy joke that is made in the Bush years that people don't read and they all want to be idiots and
yeah.
everything is
right.
Rutgers.
And unfortunately,
Bush.
we have one of those guys in charge of the Department of Defense right now.
Oh, absolutely, we do.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's the guy in the Idiocracy movie that, whatever Wilson brother it was, wakes up and sees the guy just sitting there on his recliner toilet watching guys get kicked in the nuts. That's literally Pete Hegseth. You could say it's Dax Shepard. It's not. That's Pete.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He got
Pete
a very
Hegseth,
important position.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth, who was in Iowa last week or the week before, and kind of then the speculation was that maybe he wants to run for president or something. That had to be another like news cycle fart thing that we went through. And then,
Oh, dude.
yeah,
Oh, it's hilarious because JD is just standing there like, Donald, is it my turn yet? And he's like, no, just go sit over there, JD. Just go sit in the corner.
yeah,
Continue to change my diaper, and I might let you fuck Erica Kirk. Okay, just go sit over there.
yeah. Guy's never gonna figure out that he got chosen so that he wouldn't outshine the guy.
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
he did not have charisma.
No,
Yeah, it's just
it's pretty bad.
No, he's got
It's
none in the entire. Like, I've never seen a man, because Appalachia is a pretty big section. There's a lot of subsets of people in there.
Yeah.
He managed to get all of them on the same page in hating him, and that's a feat.
That is, yeah.
That is a feat that no one in the history of Appalachia has ever managed to do.
Yeah, united the tribes. He was even divided over the war, right? And the Civil War. I mean, that was kind of
Yeah,
Appalachia. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah.
mean, yeah, no, I think about like how oh God, who's that guy? Like Hungarian dude who
Oh, Gorka.
yeah, Gorka, right? And he kind of disappeared. He got chased out for like wearing some like Nazi aligned like lapel pin back when that was like actually something you could get chased out for. And then he like disappeared. Then he like kind of came back briefly, like promoting like hard-on pills or something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
he's got a job in the administration. He's the one that put together the whole war on the left.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
It's him.
But I mean, I imagine that being like a similar arc for a lot of these guys. They're just gonna be out shilling crypto on like some fucking like cable news access channel or something. Like a lot of these guys. I mean,
Yeah, they'll just go on. They'll go on PragerU, and that's
yeah.
Oh, Mac, I wanted to show you my shorts.
Oh, let's see the shorts.
I wanted to show you these shorts. I'm very proud of these. Can you see them? Can you see?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Jason Miles. Holy shit. I think I see the tip of your penis. We just saw Jason's mushroom tip in addition to both nipples, because he's got this. There's only one button done, and it's around his belly button, and it's just the shortest of shorts. I'm pretty sure while he was fumbling around in the dark, he tripped over somebody that was just walking down the street and just took her shorts. Notice I said her, not his. Her.
Yeah, when the lights go out, it's Margaritaville and Rosarito.
That's right.
It's these shorts are actually rather comfortable.
I believe that. They look comfortable. Yeah.
I mean,
But
the 24 people here just saw all of Little Jason. So, like, I mean,
this is the outfit that I can't wait to wear around my older kids because they're going to be so embarrassed.
oh, dude, your daughter's gonna kill you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm that dad now. I'm that dad.
Just take her out to the Castro, and then you can be like, now who's fitting in, right? And,
I'd be such a cock tease. I'd be like, hey, sorry.
no, you would. Yeah, you'd be kind of faking it.
Yeah,
So,
that's just rude.
Yeah, that's what they call stolen valor in those.
Stolen valor. Who's that
Jason,
guy?
That's a felony now. You don't want to get busted for stolen valor. That's a felony.
Yeah.
You're getting locked up for it.
Yeah.
Just be honest about your valor, okay?
Yeah. Now in Fayetteville, that's really got to be a.
Oh, dude, there's so many fakes out here. Everybody here was in special forces, like everybody. And it's like, bitch, I was literally in the same brigade as you. You were the supply guy.
It's like calling someone like the water boy on the football team. It's like supply guy, right? Yeah.
Oh, dude, I learned the hard way. Don't fuck with supply. You don't fuck with supply. Don't fuck with cooks. Don't fuck with medics.
Yeah.
I've actually seen a medic. This dude got shot in the leg, and he's sitting there smoking a cigarette, watching his dude bleed, and he's like, "So who's a bitch now?" And the guy's like, "But I got shot." He's like, "But who's a bitch now?"
Damn.
I mean, he patched him up, but like he made him sweat it for a few
Yeah,
minutes.
wow.
I loved. Okay, like I thought that was hilarious. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but you know.
No, it says you're in the Army. I mean,
yeah,
you're allowed to have a kind of unique sense of humor.
Yeah, and see, now I just apply it to my everyday life, Alex, because I'm gonna commit revolutionary suicide if I don't.
There you go.
Throw myself upon the gears of capitalism and hopefully stop them for a second or two.
You know, like a suicide bomb a Waffle House or something.
No, oh no, come on, Alex. You know better than that. If you fuck around at the Waffle House,
Okay.
the staff is beating the shit out of you.
Yeah, you can fuck with Bojangles though, right? They don't even
Oh, yeah.
employ anyone anymore,
No,
anyways. So.
there's only 3 people in the back. I get to feel like you guys might want to leave. I'm blowing this bitch up.
Yeah, just turn to
You
like a
guys keep talking
volcano.
about you guys keep talking about food, and I hella want to go eat, but I don't want to come back to my dark ass house.
Yeah, that sucks, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to cook by candlelight like I'm Abraham Lincoln.
he starts a monologue. I had to kill this cat myself, and you know, I learned the hard way how to.
It's been a fortnight since I've had my favorite grilled cheese. Martha left. Yeah, no. I fucked up. Valor and cut off shorts. These are shorts that are denim. Okay, shorts go over the knee, sir. In the comments. Man wears shorts, okay? Alex Park wears shorts. These are denim shorts. Okay? Those guys go buy shorts that are made of denim. I cut my pants accidentally too short.
And now they cradle the goods just in such a way that they're so comfortable.
Like I can never skip leg. Leg day is 3 days a week now.
Oh, so you're a junior in college and white and blonde. I see. Okay. All right. Hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm dude, I love you, Jason, no matter how you want to be. You know, just know that Gymshark gear is kind of expensive. You can get similar stuff at Target.
I mean, Andrew Tate's head back for prison, and he's gonna need someone to like step up and like take that place, right? So,
I mean, he's been known to wear some capri pants with a button down low. You know, so we could definitely sell some dick pills then.
There you go.
Look,
Man.
These are you can see they're modest, right? This is the modesty line. This is the modesty line. I'm well within Jesus's code.
But you got a different standard down there. I mean, it's like how like in Saudi Arabia, like the modesty police will like arrest you for like not wearing like, you know, a veil. That's you know, in Mexico, it's like, I mean, modesty has a different definition.
Yeah, I mean, what is the modesty code in Rosarito? Show them
cheeks,
right?
It's like, well, you know, your jock strap is like intact. We'll give you that. So fuck it, right? It's like,
I only see one testicle, so you're within the legal limits.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Look, you guys can make all the jokes you want, but now you know the difference. The short is a baggy denim short that one purchases.
Okay, yes, I know what Kevin Smith wears.
Made.
Okay, I got it.
Kevin Smith.
Daisy Duke.
Yes. I made my shorts. No, they go beyond the butt cheek. See, they go beyond the butt cheek.
Jason, I can see your whale tail. Stop.
We're good.
Kilgore just said jorts are haram, so I guess we're learning something new about Islam today.
Zahir says, to be fair, I believe 70s basketball shorts were shorter.
Yeah, but like if you're 7 feet tall, I mean, like, you know, those shorts could have been like, you know, normal size, and they just kind of choked up on it.
Yeah. I have no excuse. I'm 5'10".
Yeah. I feel bad for Sabonis when he came to the States. It's like, what is this? The whole package will be hanging out. These shorts are so short. I cannot do this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Coach Luke is right. You know, when you buy underwear from some lady at the Tianguis that you think is regular size, and you put them on, and you go, "Are these cheerleading kick pants?"
Oh. Jason bought a whole pack of bloomers.
I was like, wait a minute. Wait, who? What?
She starts talking to you, and Jason looks at the guy next to him and is like, what did she say? You wanted full cheek coverage, right? And you were like, wait, what?
Dude, one ball will fall out of these things. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. You got to be very careful when you're buying your underwear at the Tianguis. You got to get the kind that falls off the truck.
Well, I don't wear it, so I'm good. You know. I live in North Carolina, Jason, and we just got a break from 3-digit heat for the last month. It gets swampy, so I'm not layering up down there. That's all I'm saying.
Is that an old army trick?
Oh, dude, yeah. Alex, I joined the army at 17. I haven't worn underwear since.
Damn.
Wow. I mean, is army issue underwear is that something you
Well, I mean, you only wore that shit in basic training, and after that, you know, like especially as like we hit like 2004 when you had like the Under Armour started making shirts for us for our uniforms, and it's like you didn't worry about that shit, man. Yeah. I mean, the only time I wear a base layer now is if I'm doing like a run longer than 5 miles. So can't have chafe when you're running a half marathon.
Yeah, were you in Afghanistan? I mean, Iraq too, or?
I did Bosnia, Iraq, and 3 in Afghanistan.
I just can't imagine. I mean, it's like 120 degrees in Iraq and shit, right? It's like,
dude, southern Afghanistan was miserable.
Yeah.
Eastern Afghanistan would get as hot as it did down south, but in the winter you'd get like 3 feet of snow because you're in the foothills of the Himalayas. And like when you get off the bird, when you first land there, you know, you're 8,000 feet above sea level. So you're just like, hey, I'm in shape. Like you just walked 3 feet. You know, it was fucking horrible.
See, this is why every once in a while you see this flare up of like, will the next war be in the Arctic? And you just got guys like a whole bunch of dudes around, like, you know, Metro DC, just be like, fingers crossed, man. Let's have it there. I'm ready for it.
There's only one unit that is prepped for Cold War fighting, and that's the Airborne Brigade stationed in Alaska. Outside of that, none of us are prepped for that shit. They can give us all the cold weather gear in the world. Like, dude, the first big snow, there's these huge irrigation ditches cut all over Afghanistan because they essentially steal water to water their fields.
Yeah.
So like they're like 3 or 4 feet deep. You have like 3 feet of snow. You're patrolling in this shit. And I like fell into one of the ditches, and this is like all you saw of my face, right? And so I got my helmet, my eyes are visible, and my lieutenant turns around. He's like, "You good, man?" I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm dying here. I'm not. I'm just gonna get. I'm gonna get frostbite and die. I'm good." And everybody's like, "Will you fucking move?" I'm like, "Nobody's out here to shoot us. Nobody's trying to kill us in this. Just let me leave." You know, like. That was the 15-month deployment that I did 2 winters in Eastern Afghanistan. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. And then I was like, I love the Afghan people. Afghanistan in the 70s looked pretty rad. I don't want to come back to this place ever.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, if you put me in a time machine and send me back in like 71, let's fucking go. I'm there all day.
Yeah.
Right? But now, nope. Hard pass. Afghan people are great, though. I love them.
Yeah.
Well, let's go because there's bugs that are coming out and they're biting the shit out of you.
All right. Well, that's a reason.
Yeah. I mean, we can't have you getting like bug bites on your Johnson as they hang out of your short shorts. So.
Yeah, that's a choice you made. You got no coverage.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, you guys are jealous because you wear jorts and I wear shorts.
I wear shorts and not Daisy Dukes is the difference.
Yeah. I'm sure Alex isn't fucking showing cheek as he's going to get coffee in the morning, okay?
Yeah. Although, you know, it was one of our hottest days in like a month. It was 79 today. So, you know, one thing Huey Newton said is like, in Oakland, the weather is kind to the poor. I thought that was a good line.
I mean, he's not wrong. Yeah. Huey should have brought his ass to North Carolina for a little bit.
Yeah, it's not kind to the poor out there.
No.
But he was born in Louisiana, but he left pretty early.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like Hampton, he was born down south and left, for Chicago pretty early too. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't get yellow fever from podcasting, Kush. Oh my gosh. Jason's gonna cancel the show tomorrow. He's like, I ended up with yellow fever, dysentery, and malaria all at the same time.
I got hella scared to eat meat the other day. I was like, wait a minute, I'm in Mexico. I should be fine. This isn't the States.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, it's not the U.S.
Yeah. So I was like,
Where-
I can totally.
If you're not discerning about where your food source from right now, you're gonna die from explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
I saw some video. Guy was like, I'm never eating a strawberry again. So I'm like, fuck that. Let's get out of here. Where's the get out of here music? Hold on. Ready? We are
out.
Peace. These are shorts.